Tim Blankenship here, divorce661.com. This is episode 1 of Walk and Talk with Tim. I walk my dog about 2 hours a day, 2 miles in the morning, 2 miles in the afternoon, evening. So I figured I'm always trying to get out new content, more content, as frequently as I can. I figured I'd use this time to do that. Today we're going to be talking about online divorce services and why you should steer clear of them. I know they're tempting. We have a lot of clients that hire us after they've already filed for, or not filed, but after they've already paid an online divorce service, only to realize it wasn't the best solution for them. Had a gentleman yesterday hire me after the consultation. He had hired one of these, and there's hundreds of these online divorce services, and had paid. He said, Tim, I spent 6 hours in one day trying to get all the paperwork done, and printed it out, and at the end of the day, it was wrong. I had 200 pages of paperwork and a 16-page instruction sheet, and I'm totally lost. Come on, Hudson. I'm totally lost. By the way, this is what I'm pulling here. Okay, come on. So he hired me, and we're a full service. We can take care of the entire process, start to finish, and all that good stuff. And I want to talk about the differences between online service and my service. I just have some notes here that I'm going to go over. And hopefully you'll watch this before you pull the trigger. I mean, at the end of the day, you're only spending, $29, $49, and I get why you want to pay that. So at the end, I'm going to tell you why my service might just be less expensive at the end of the day. So number one here, complexity of legal issues. When you pay these online programs, they have no idea what your particular circumstances are. They don't know if you're trying to terminate spouse support on a long-term marriage, and if you are, they're not going to give you the proper language for that. They're not going to know if you want no child support, how to address that. They're not going to know that there's ways of, I don't want to say getting around having a child support order, but putting in orders that don't make it official with the court, things like that. They're not going to know if you have a child support order that's less or more than the guideline amount, how that's going to be addressed or how to handle that. They're not going to have a disto-master calculation for you or child support calculation to make those determinations if you do want support. So there's a lot that gets missed in an online divorce service. Even if you have an easy divorce, meaning you're in agreement. I know people call me all the time and say, Tim, we're in agreement, so it's easy. It's not easy, and I should do a separate video just completely on that. It's not easy just because you are amicable, because you're usually agreeing to terms that the court won't approve. They will if you have someone like me do it, because they know how to package it up, but you're going to have trouble getting that through the court. So number one was complexity of legal issues. I don't mean legal as in you're going to court or hearing or trial and presenting evidence and all that. I'm talking about, I got some major construction coming up here. I'm talking about the forms, the filing, the serving, checking the boxes. And of course, it's starting to rain. So those types of things. And that's the type of things that I help you guys navigate with my full service. I have to hide under a tree here. With our full service, we take care of all that nuance. You don't have to worry about the issues that could come up with the court. I tell my clients, don't worry about what you want or what the court might say. I'm going to package it up so it's acceptable to the court. So we're going to hide under this tree here. Number two, lack of legal advice. So while I can't give you legal advice as a legal document preparer, I can provide you the resources and information. I'm just going to go out in the rain. I can provide you the information and resources on where to locate that information. And I am able to explain not the law, but anything that's published works online, written by attorneys. I can explain that to you, not as me giving it to you as legal advice, but me explaining, basically, hey, here's what this attorney has said, written on their website, and I'll send you the resource. So that's how I don't want to say get around it, but that's how we make that happen. Additionally, when it comes to advice, kind of going back to, how does it work with spouse support, short-term marriage, long-term marriage, what's acceptable for, and I'm talking about more procedural advice than legal advice. How does it work? What should be some considerations in duration of spouse support, short-term marriage, long-term marriage, things like that. Child support, can we get away with reduced or, no child support, reserved jurisdiction child support. So there's so much that goes into an easy divorce, an amicable divorce. There's a lot that still needs to be addressed and covered. My dog likes to change sides all the time. Sorry about that, to make you dizzy. Number 3, risk of errors. Going back to the gentleman that said he spent 6 hours doing his paperwork and it came out all wrong. I can't blame the software entirely, because all these online services is an auto filler format. So you go to an online questionnaire, you fill out the information, first name, last name, how long you've been married, all that. You push in any of these boxes of, you're gonna have property division, separate property, community property, the kids' names. I mean, there's so much. You put in the wrong information, you're gonna get the wrong information out on the other end. So these online divorce services are only as good as the information you submit. So that's a big issue as far as risk of errors, which can add to significant delays with your divorce case. I talk all the time, half my business comes to me from clients who have done trying to do their own divorce, not done it, not completed it, and had multiple rejections. These clients, anywhere from messing up the initial petition, the initial judgment, initial petition, to the point where, it's 2-3 years old and they have to start completely over. So when they call me, we're starting from scratch. I had a 5-year-old case. Got to turn around. We got a lawnmower here. Come on. 5-year-old case that we had to start completely from scratch, refile, reserve, start the clock all over on the 6 months, because not only were there errors in the petition, but the summons didn't get filed. So it's as if they haven't even filed. Even things like simple summary dissolutions. I had a client hire me last week where they made errors on the summary dissolution, which they were errors, they're simple errors, but because of the way the summary dissolutions are filed, the court didn't, they hold these summary dissolutions the whole 6 months, and then they process it. And that's after 6 months, that's when they realized there were errors with the summary dissolution petition, the joint petition, and they rejected it. So it's as if he never filed. Then he did it again. And 6 months went by and it got rejected again. Then he hired me. So 18 months for a simple divorce. No assets, no debts, no kids, short-term marriage. And it took, it's going to be 18 months before that's done. So risk of errors is definitely on the top of the list here. Okay, number 4, inadequate for contested cases. And I think that goes without saying. If you're not in agreement, you're going to end up in trial. You guys don't agree on anything, that sort of thing. Then could you start your paperwork with an online divorce service? Yes, but what's the point? You're going to immediately need a service or an attorney to represent you, because now you really need that deep dive legal advice. Sorry, am I holding it too close? You're going to need that deep dive legal advice. So you might as well get it from the very beginning. And I kind of tell that to clients. They call me as well who, because I only handle amicable, uncontested divorce cases, and in our consultations, I try as best I can to ensure that's going to be the case in asking questions and seeing where you guys are at in your terms and all that good stuff. Some people want to use my service to just start the process, get it filed, kind of pull the trigger, shot across the bow, if you will, see if it will become amicable. And we can do that, but I really let people know that, if this is not amicable, that we will have to cease our services at some point, because we can't represent you. We don't go to trial. We don't go to hearings. Don't handle contested issues. We just kind of handle that amicable divorce process. Number five, no negotiation support. So I don't consider myself a mediator. I don't do mediation, but I do provide help and assistance with navigating the different decisions you have to make. I will never tell you what you guys should do or get in between your decision making. I would never be that person because I don't want to be the one that stirs the pot or causes a problem. I can give you guys options and solutions, and then you guys ultimately make the choice, but I'm not helping you guys negotiate. I can run, if you guys need help with support calculations, child support or spouse support, I can help you with that. If you want to need to know, hey, how long should I pay spouse support? Well, I can let you know the general rule of long-term marriage versus short-term marriage. None of that are you getting with a online divorce service. There's no one to talk to, no one to help you. And by the way, no one to do the filing for you. I think that's where people get tripped up. You know, if they can get through doing the paperwork, then you got all the filing. I'll talk about that later. So definitely no negotiation support, no one to talk to, no one to question. And while I don't do the mediation, I do use a third-party portal where both of you are in this portal with me, and all communication is three-way. So we're not having any independent conversations with either one of you, except for the initial consultation where, again, we're not giving legal advice or anything like that. We are just talking about, are you amicable? Are you in agreement? What are some of your terms? And are we a good fit and service for you? So that's all the initial discussion is. Everything else happens after you've, I've been retained and we get you in this portal. I think it's very, very beneficial that my involvement, not as a mediator, but just as someone doing the paperwork for you, that you have this person like me doing the paperwork in this three-way communication cycle, so everyone's on the same page throughout the entire process. You guys can ask questions, you see what the question is, I write the answer, you guys all see it, because if you have the question, your spouse probably has the same question, or at a minimum would like to know what's going on and what the questions are. And I think by me doing that, it prevents people from trying to gain some type of advantage or starting some one-way communication cycle with me. Because when that happens, and it does on occasion, I know the purpose of it is to ask a question they don't want their spouse to see. So my policy is I don't respond to those. If it is something that's obviously would stir the pot, I won't answer it at all. I'll say, please, if you have a question, please put that in the message thread that all parties are on. And if they don't put it in, if they never write it, I know that they didn't want their spouse to see it. So that's by design. Or if I don't think it's something that will cause a problem, I will answer the question in the main message thread and say, here was the question asked, came up in the, not in the main thread. So here's the answer to that question. Number, where are we at? 6. That's right on the fold. Hold on here. Let me check my notes. 6, privacy concerns. So when you use these online divorce services, you are entering your information into someone's secure, unsecure portal, website. How secure can these YouTube, how secure can these sites be? Some of these, if you Google them, like where they originate or do reviews on them, they're like in Ukraine or Russia. These are like foreign entities, is where their main business is. And so, from privacy concerns, and here's the thing, they ask for way too much information in general. That's how I know he wants to stop and cross the street. Come on. So, they're asking for date of births, driver's license, social security numbers, and you're putting all this information into a website you paid $29 for. And hopefully that's all you paid, because some of these services charge $400 for an online divorce. So, in contrast with my service, talking about that portal I use. It's called MyCase. You know, it's secure. I don't use email. I don't send your divorce documents via email that can be, you know, grabbed, hacked, whatnot. This portal, again, it's a three-way communication between the three of us. All document uploads are through the portal. All signatures are through the portal. Where allowed, we will do online e-signatures. Most of the courts, for most of the paperwork, we can accomplish that. You have me as a neutral third party, just me. You're not putting your information into a unknown portal. You are giving it directly to me. I do have a way of collecting that, again, through a secure server. You give that information to me, and I am actually preparing your forms myself, personally. I handle the entire process, start to finish, and across the street here. Entire process, start to finish, and you're not putting your information out there to be hacked, and you're not giving information, unnecessary information that does not need to go on the interwebs, ready to be grabbed and have identity theft and all these other issues that go on. So be very careful. I think that the security issue is a major issue, especially now with, you know, identity theft and people taking people's information and all that good stuff. All right, number 7, impersonal process. This is divorce, people. You're not buying a car. Even in the most amicable of situations, oh, you guys aren't looking at my nose. Even in the most amicable of situations, it's still divorce. You're still, don't know if you could hear that. I should have turned off my Apple Watch, but let me lose track. Oh, impersonal process. So, you know, it's divorce. You might be amicable, you might be in agreement, but you still have to make decisions. You still got to talk about the kids, money, finances, how you're splitting things up, who's getting what. Plus all the, I don't want to say legal questions, but procedural questions about the paperwork, the filing, the forms, serving, how that all needs to happen. When you use my service, none of that do you have to worry about. I'll explain the process to you just so you know, but you don't have to worry about actually doing it, because I do all the paperwork, all the filing, all the forms, have answer all the questions, do all the processing. I mean, literally, you both come to me and I do the entire process. You guys have someone to talk to, someone to email through the portal, someone to ask questions to, someone who knows the process, someone who knows the court and how they work, because we file in every court in California. You know, been doing this 12 years, so we know, I say we, it's me and the dog, know how each court's work, and each court does have a specific nuance. I get asked all the time, Tim, do you work with this court? And the answer is always yes. I try and show my work. Yesterday I did a live video preparing a judgment that clients had turned in, and I don't know if I'll do that again. It was I wasn't showing the paperwork, I was just talking about the case and what paperwork you need for different types of cases and the decisions they had made and why, things like that. But it was, as I was preparing it, I have to do the copies and all that, it was kind of distracting. So I was kind of focused on talking versus doing the paperwork. So after I did the video this morning I went over it again just to make sure I didn't miss anything, because it is very detailed in doing that. All right, number 8, potential for incompleteness of process. These online divorce services do not have, let's turn around, Hudson. These online divorce services do not know the nuance of every court. They don't know how, and to be honest, each court, each department, and each clerk can even have a little different specific way they do things, because it depends on the judge in the courtroom. So we know all that, maybe not to the exact degree, but we'll know, oh, it's this court, this courtroom, this county, and we'll know that we need to, the different nuance with preparing the paperwork for that particular scenario, for their particular terms, for their particular agreements, and that sort of thing. So definitely incompleteness, because you're going to get frustrated. You know, this guy I brought up earlier who hired us, who started with his online divorce and did all the paperwork, spent 6 hours, got nowhere with it. That was the easy part. That now it's the filing, going to court, serving, and you guys having no one to talk to except each other. So this was, I think online divorce is a recipe for disaster. It's possible that you guys start off amicable and then end up fighting because you're so frustrated in the process. And you're going to follow what the court tells you to do, which is, number one, file for divorce. Number two, serve your spouse. Then you're going to hire a process server. Then your spouse is going to get the paperwork from the court, and it's going to say, or even the instructions from these online services. I've seen thousands of them, 20 pages long, and it's going to tell you to file a response. Now you filed your response, paid another $435 fee. A lot of people are not aware that there's another fee comes with the response. They'll say, oh, my husband or my wife already paid the filing fee. Well, the response triggers another filing fee as well. So definitely potential for incompleteness, or just, like I said, getting frustrated and not turning in your final paperwork or thinking it's finalized. I can't tell you how many clients call me for consultation, said, Tim, I got remarried. I have new kids with this new family, and I just found out my divorce was not finalized. Not a big deal. We can handle that as long as you know where your first spouse is. Get that taken care of, handle that all the time. So you definitely don't want to have an incomplete case. Half my business that comes to me, it has started their own divorce and got stuck, got rejected, found out it wasn't finalized, and we'll take over and wrap up their case so long as they are amicable. And but so I can tell you that this number 8, incompleteness of process, is a real thing. So number 9 is no representation in court. And I wrote this down because I'm not going to represent you in court either. So those are kind of some similarities between myself and online divorce services. Try not to get hit by a car here, but I may help you stay out of court altogether with the information that I provide you. And here's where I'm going with this. You have an online divorce, you're going through it, you have no one to talk to, no one in a three-way back and forth to explain things. So what happens? You get frustrated and you hire a divorce attorney, and you're going to court for the sole reason of frustration and not agreement, which you could be. I want to say a good 20% of my clients call me and say, well, we're not in agreement because we don't know what spouse support will be or child support will be or how this or that works. It's not like they need legal advice. They're just looking for some general framework of what the process is like, and then I can give them that information, and then they can make informed decisions, and then we can finalize their divorce. It could be that simple. So that's why I wanted to bring up this no representation in court issue, is I could probably many times keep you guys out of court altogether. And check my earbud, it's falling out. All right, and give me some feedback, you guys, on this. If you guys like this format, it definitely helps me get the content out I want to and get some exercise. I made sure to start on the downhill versus the uphill, so you're not hearing me huffing and puffing, although I feel like I'm in pretty good shape for my age. Number 10, lack of local knowledge. Touched on this a little bit. The courts every county is absolutely different. The general rules are the same. Filing, proof of having to be served, 30 days to respond, 60 days to do your disclosures. So all the main rules are the same. Sorry, I need to get a longer stick maybe. All the general rules are the same, but when it comes to the nuance of your divorce, when it comes to you not wanting child support, or you wanting a specific amount of child support, or you wanting no spouse support, and you've been married for longer than 10 years. I'm trying to think of all the different things people do that will be issues with the court. Because when it comes to child support, to get kind of specific on this, when it comes to child support, you technically, if you guys try to do your own divorce and you don't know what you're doing, which I'll just assume is the case, and you say no child support, I even see people write that on the petition under the child support section on page 3. You can't do that. You can't just write no child support, and then you're going to do your settlement agreement, your judgment package, and on the property or the child support order write none, and it's going to get rejected. So it's an uphill battle for you guys. So the definitely lack of knowledge can cause all kinds of issues, from just mixing a checkbox. I mean, there's so many things I could talk about here. The specifics of your agreement, like we have people ask all the time, Tim, I want to keep my 401k, sorry about that, or my pension, and my husband or spouse is going to keep the house instead. Can we do that? And the answer is yes. Of course I know that, but this is a question that comes up all the time. Tim, we want to keep our own assets and debts. It's not equal. Will the court approve that? Another question I get all the time, and the answer is yes, as long as you write it up the correct way. What else do people ask? So each keeping their own, values not being the same. What is the judge going to say? And that's beyond just you guys trying to get the paperwork correct, the process correct, the filing correct. You miss a checkbox. You serve your own paperwork. I mean, you should see the judgment reject sheet. There's, I want to say, 3 or 4 pages, probably 40 common reasons that they just check the checkbox, and then there's another other box, like we're going to reject it for this reason, and because there's so many reasons it can be rejected. Starting with the fact that you did the petition incorrect, which you won't know until you turn in the judgment. People they don't argue with me, but people say, Tim, why would my petition be wrong? Why would the clerk accepted it? Well, just because the clerk accepted it doesn't mean it's accurate. They're going to just take your money, stamp your form, and give your paperwork back, and you're going to go through the process. It's not until you submit the judgment does any of your paperwork actually ever get reviewed. And that's why people, when they turn in their judgment, it could be the petition, it could be the summons, it could be, I've seen so many errors over the last 12 years in doing this. I fixed every one of them. Some are pretty crazy. Like, you guys can really mess up your paperwork. Like, you guys see, I'm like, how did you even do that? How did you spell your spouse's name wrong? How did you use your spouse's middle name as the first name and the first name as the middle name? How do you not know how to spell their name? How do you not know the date of marriage? I mean, all these things are things that can cause your case to reject. And I'm not making fun of you. It's just going into, it's a complex legal process. So I hope you enjoyed this first episode of Walk and Talk with Tim. And we are a full service divorce solution. Be happy to help you guys out at any point in the process, or you can start with me from scratch, which I prefer. It makes my job a lot easier. But you can schedule a call. Go to divorce661.com, schedule a call, have a consultation, see if we're a good fit, and go from there. Thanks for watching.